used to own my own apartment. I used to date guys with money, guys that look good. I used to go ball with the big boys. I used to, I could have chosen to go with a man who's willing to give me the world. There are many, there are plenty of them, trust me.
Am I the only one questioning that? Where is Sia's family? Who is Sia's community? Why do they allow him to be in a relationship with someone who continues to talk down on him like this? This is not necessary. This is heartbreaking. This is devastating. And so if his family is out there, they need to have a conversation with their loved one and tell them that this is not how you receive love, or this is not how you should be loved. And Kuda, oh my God, I'm speechless. The audacity. How many times can you ask this girl for a cuddle before she says no and you understand that she said no? Nobody deserves that level of disrespect. These guys are really showing themselves out. Kuda is outdoing himself. Pohlele is outdoing himself. What more can these people want? I wouldn't be surprised if all these couples break up. I think the only couple left standing might be Nikki and Naledi. That's because they haven't sort of done anything that crosses the line romantically with somebody else. Yes, they've got issues, but the rest of the couples, oh my God, I see disaster. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by, to Girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Never Lies South Africa, Season 1, Episode 5. My God, I don't even know what to think about Sia, really. I think Sia comes with issues. I think he's got a lot of baggage that he comes with, because he's shown clips of Pretty sort of talking about wanting to see the cucumber for her match. And Pretty, she knows what she's doing, because she says she wants him to hurt real bad. And she's very vindictive and very malicious, in the sense that she knows what happens when you're in Vilam Hoho. She knows that you get to watch videos of your partner. So the idea that she would want to do this, knowing that he's going to see it and he's going to feel some type of way, doesn't make sense. Sia then asked to see extras, so he paid an extra 5,000 rand, and he saw her twerking on this guy's. It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And so for Sia to say, he loves a partner who can challenge him, he loves someone who's, or he knows at times she's very abusive to him, he knows, it's not, it's acceptable. It seems in his head it's acceptable to be abused by someone, and everybody has to tell him that no, it's not right for her to do that. And so for him not to realize this and recognize this makes you question, where is his family? Why are they allowing him to be treated like this by this woman? Are they aware that this is how he treats her, or is this the first time they're getting to see how he treats his partner? I'm furious. He's not even my family member, and I'm upset on his behalf. And he looks devastated. He really does, and it's really sad. Next up is Malaka, and for me the producers are messy. They really are messy, and I'm going to stand on that, because we all heard Kwatsa say that he wasn't going to do anything because he didn't want to be vindictive and sort of do a tit for tat. So they show him sort of having conversations with his match, and he's sort of talking about his partner and the fact that he feels like he's checked out of the relationship because of what he saw. Because when Munaka was, being tempted, she sort of told Jordan that he was her ideal match. He was man enough. He was this, that, and the other, which her partner wasn't. And so Jose actually said to Lihle that he wasn't really going to go there. He wasn't going to do anything that would upset his partner. So for them to show, him in a game with Lihle sort of touching his manhood was dirty. The producers played dirty. It really was. But his excitement as well sold him out, because the way he was excited, the fact that they had him, do poses where they had their arms around each other and stuff. It's not that deep. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as the things that Munaka was doing. So I hope she understands that there's more to the story than what she's actually seeing. And if this is the worst, then it's nothing compared to Pretty, who was twerking on the other man. Next up is Pohlele. He comes out, he gets to see Nancy. Nancy was excited. She really had been very upset and distressed after realizing that Pohlele slept with Mia. So when she came into her meeting with Santini, she really was sort of struggling, and he made her feel relaxed and at ease. So she was more calmer and more happier and more freer. They asked he asked to watch the premiere package. She had her hair undone because she said she's moving on. And so it seems she is happy. It seems she is at sort of, even though she's grieving the end of her relationship, it seems she is ready to move on and find what's out there for her. The fact that Santini helped her undo her hair, the fact that she was twerking on him and she really seemed excited and was laughing and giggling. Bushete knows he's lost her. He really knows he's lost her, if he's going to be honest. For him to say, oh, I went to the ocean because I needed a reawakening, I needed a connection with nature, I needed this. And we're thinking, but you told Mia you had never been to the ocean. So have you been to the ocean before or not? And for him to say, I want my woman, I feel like I made a mistake. Seriously, if you don't think what you did was a massive mistake or massive betrayal, then I don't know what else we need to say to you. You're so much in denial. You betrayed the person you brought to the show by having sex with someone you barely knew. And when he was speaking to Millie, he was saying, oh, I don't think, they can build a strong connection in 5 days as we did, in all the time we lived together. And it's like, but you and Mia were together for 5 days and you had sex. So how can you think she can't do the same? And Millie asked her that, how can you assume that she can't do the same when you did it? You did it, so it's possible for her to find her person and move on with life without you. And that man is in denial. And he's really going to cry a river when, things go left. Because at this point, it looks like Nancy has checked out of the relationship, and everyone, the rest of the castmates were actually talking behind his back that, oh, she really looks like she's moved on. They tried to put on a brave face for him, but they all can tell that she's moved on and she's ready to find her person elsewhere. And I'm happy for her. She deserves that, if nothing else. Next up is Naledi. Naledi gets to see, the first meetup between Kotsi and Nikki. And Nikki was still going through it because Nikki is furious at the fact that, Naledi brought up Nikki's child. And so she did vent to Kotsi about it and the betrayal that she felt. And you didn't see any romantic connection there. I think it was more people sort of helping each other transition through a grieving process. And so I get where, Naledi was saying that I don't want to watch the premium package because I want to relinquish control. And I question whether that's because they want to relinquish control or they know for a fact that their partner didn't do anything. So it's pointless wasting 5,000 when you know that your partner hasn't done anything inappropriate. That's the impression that I get. I don't think it's a matter of wanting to relinquish control, but I think it's a matter of they knowing that my partner is never going to do that. They're never going to do anything inappropriate with somebody else. They are very committed to me. And so they're always going to be loyal irregardless of what I do. And so I feel like that was a strategic move not to watch the premium package. It wasn't self-preservation, no, because there was nothing in the initial package that would make you think, oh, let me watch the premium package. There's nothing. Everything that was brought up is something that Naledi is aware of, that she's done wrong and she'll need to atone for. And so I agree with her. She didn't need to waste 5,000. She really didn't. There's nothing else that they can do apart from coming up with a plan of how to graft to earn, their partner back. Next up is Clayton. Clayton gets to watch Wilfred, and Wilfred is partnered with Tabeng. And the topic of being too much comes up, and this is something that was going to come up, and I don't understand. I thought people, if you're a very outgoing person and you're matched with a very sort of introverted person, you are actually a better match because you're able to sort of balance each other out. So the idea that, you have Clayton complaining that Wilfred is a bit too much for me at times is sad. And I like that the connection that Tabeng and Wilfred have is not saying, oh, I want to have sex with you, I want to jump your bones, but it's more a connection of how can I help you grow? How can I help you discover yourself? How can I help you process what you've been going through? And so Clayton has no leg to stand on, sadly, because he cheated on his partner before they came into this experiment. And in this experiment, he was very open to getting to know the person he was matched with. And the fact that they were already flirting, so he was matched with someone he had already been having conversations with, I assume, in the real world, because they followed each other on social media. And when he was asked, he said, yes, they did flirt in the inboxes. They did DM each other. And so I don't even understand why he would want to see extra package. Personally, I don't understand why, Clayton needed to see the extra footage, because all the things that were brought up by Wilfred are things that have already been addressed, things that he has already said. So, in my opinion, I feel like he wanted to see the extra footage because he was looking for material to use as leverage. That way, he can, whatever he does, he can use that leverage as justification for his actions. He's already cheated, so there's nothing that Wilfred can do that will ever surpass, Clayton cheating in the relationship. For Clayton to say, I always feel like I have to tone myself down. I wish I'd explained what I mean. And also, Millie tried to give him an out to say, oh, do you think you cheated on Wilfred because you knew that, there was a possibility that he could cheat on you and you didn't want him to be the first one to cheat. And he's sort of saying, and it's like, no, you cheated because you were not faithful. That's it. Take your L and move on. Don't try and look for material to use as justification for your actions. Lastly is Lynn. And when you've been saved for last, there's a mess about to happen because they wouldn't save you for last if everything was okay. So Lynn is getting to watch Kuda with his partner Star. And Kuda was living it. Well, he was living large. He was a baller. He really was excited because the producers knew what they were doing. They brought banging girls for Kuda and Jose because they wanted to turn their heads. That's why they did that, because they knew that nothing else would surpass. And so for everyone in Villa Mjolo to be worried that Kuda is going to, mess around, it shows that they know him for who he is. He was well behaved when he was in Villa Mhoho, and as soon as he went to Villa Mjolo, he decided to outshine himself. The fact that he was saying, there's a sort of familiarity because Lynn and Star look similar, and it's like, yeah, they look similar, but they're not the same person. So that doesn't justify any nonsense that you want to get up to. If I were you, I would respect my partner and continue to respect my partner because it's already come out that you cheated on a boys' trip. You don't need to do anything else stupid. She goes for the premium package, and you actually see him because we saw him asking for a cuddle in bed, and Star refused because Star said that it will start off as a cuddle, but it will lead to other things, and she would rather not. And so, oh my God, this is devastating for her. This is devastating. 7 years wasted by someone. They've been together for 7 years. And if in 7 years you cannot make up your mind that you see me as your life partner, you see me as the person you want to marry and have a family with, then maybe it's time for us to check out. It's time for us to check out. And I think Lynn is at that realization that it's time for her to check out. It is time for her to check out. She respected him by bringing his friend. He messed about with whoever he messed about. Whether it's Lynn's friend or whether it's just a random person, it's uncalled for. And Lynn, for her to laugh at him and say, just imagine being rejected on it's international TV. So he got a no on international TV. Kudos to Star for standing up and saying, no, I don't want to be a pawn in your game with your girl, because at the end of the day, it would be embarrassing if they had sex and then he turned around and he went back to Lynn. That would be devastating. There's no way of moving away from that. Back at Villa Mjolo, you have Kuda having a conversation with Star because Star is sort of trying to assess where Kuda stands. Is he still in love with Lynn, or is he ready to move on? Because he's giving the impression that he's ready to move on, but is he just saying that because he's angry and this is him sort of trying to take out his frustrations, or is he saying that because he's serious? I don't know. I don't think he's really ready to get or to commit to someone fully, in the sense that he says he's been in multiple long-term relationships. But if you've been in multiple long-term relationships and you are not committing yourself enough to sort of settle down, what is the problem? What is the problem? Because there must be something going on that's stopping you from fully committing yourself to someone and saying, I want to marry you, I want to start a family with you. What is it? I think he's got commitment issues, and I think this is why he tries to sabotage all his relationships when he realizes that it's time to commit and he's not ready to commit. And sadly for him, he's going to continue to sort of move from girl to girl to girl, because I don't see how he and Lynn can sort of get over this. This is too much embarrassment for both of them, really. And also the fact that I don't think he's ready. I think if Star were to give him a chance, he would take it. He would. And he's sort of using the fact that I'm over Lynn as an excuse to sort of justify whatever nonsense he wants to get up to with Star, because you have Lynn already upset that, he knew the Titanic had great sort of symbolism in her life because she watches it every week. And so for him to do the Titanic moment on the boat with Star was really a shady move on his part. So I don't know this man. I really don't think he's serious, and I don't think he's ready for marriage. And I think he just needs to continue to date, or maybe he needs to speak to someone and hopefully process what, or find out the reasons behind why he won't commit. You have Pretty venting into the mirror. She's very upset about what, Sia did. She feels that it was an ultimate betrayal. She complained to Kosi that, why is it he can't accept me for who I am? Why do I have to tone myself down because he cannot be man enough? I accept him for, more or less saying she accepts him for the weakling that he is. And it's like, if he didn't accept you, he wouldn't put up with everything you put him through. He wouldn't put up with everything you've put him through. He would just move on and find himself his next partner. But he's tolerated everything you put in his place because he loves you and he accepts you for who you are. I don't get what performance that was. Was she auditioning for The Lion King or whatever? That was unnecessary, really unnecessary. You have Nancy. She's speaking to Wilfred. She's crying. She says she's still in love with this man, Botle. And it's like, yeah, love, you might be in love with him, but this love needs eyes to see, because this is uncalled for. This is unnecessary. You don't need to continue to put up with someone continuing to betray you to the extent that he takes you on international TV and he does the one thing that you complain that you're not getting enough of. So I don't get it. Back at Film Hoho, you have, people sort of lamenting on their relationships. He's so full of himself, isn't he? Because he's saying he doesn't want Nancy to lose him. He is aware that there is a possibility that when they go back home, she might just pack her stuff and leave. And he doesn't want her to lose him. And it's like, well, she doesn't need to lose you. You have already lost her because she was the prize. You are the one who betrayed her. You are the one who did the one thing you are not supposed to do. She's been complaining that you're not giving her enough sex. And so the idea that you went on international TV and did that, you are the one who's going to lose her. If nothing else, you should be asking yourself, how do I win back her trust? How do I get her to forgive me? That's what you should be focused on. And you shouldn't be asking yourself, oh, I don't want her to lose me. To lose you. But you're not the prize. You have sort of, Monaka sort of saying she's open to whatever this opportunity is going to teach her. She understands she might end up leaving the experiment without the person she walked in with, but she's ready to walk out with whoever she walks out with. And she's learned to stop loving the potential in people, but actually to appreciate the person that is in front of her. And this is something that I've learned myself, that you cannot love, or you cannot sort of want people to be what you believe that they will be or what you believe that they are. See people for who they are and take them for what they are. If you like it, amazing. If you don't, keep it stepping and you'll find your person. Naka, I worry for you. I worry for you. I worry for you. I think Jose is gone. I think he has gone. I think Lindsay has finally won him over, because they're having this conversation whereby she's sort of asking him, so have you made a decision of what you're going to do? Do you think that Naka is your person? And he says no. And it's like, wow, that's a lot. That says a lot. And for him to agree that, you can't be intimate with someone just because they want you to be intimate. You have to have the urge to want to be intimate with that person. And then they had their little handshake. This is quite a dramatic change from him saying, I don't want to do anything that appears as though it's me being vindictive with, to my partner. I'm just going to try and just enjoy the experience, but I'm not going to do anything inappropriate. And it's like, yes, you're not doing anything inappropriate, but you're doing things that are intimate, things that are sort of foundation building. The fact that you have your own handshake with Lindsay is something that's questionable, let alone for you to be open enough to sort of be vulnerable and tell her that, well, she's really not my person. She doesn't do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I think poor Naka needs to find her person. She needs to go to Jordan, because this is not it. This is not working. This reminds me of that situation on The Ultimatum, where Lindele, I think, wanted his partner, his swap partner, and when she went back to her partner, he then sort of jumped ship and went back to his partner. And I have a feeling this might actually be what will take place. If Naka decides she wants to stay with, Jose, he might stay with her. But if she says, she wants to jump ship, then I have a feeling he's going to jump ship as well and might actually aim to be in a coupling with Lindsay. It seems to me like the second group of singles are there as therapists. They're not there to sort of create a romantic connection, but it seems as though they're there as therapist, because you have Santini and Nancy go on a date, and they're sort of talking about Nancy and the fact that she's always prioritizing other people, and that it's time for her to put herself first. It's time for her to not sort of consider everybody else, because at the end of the day, for example, she's been betrayed by this man. She doesn't need to worry about what's in his best interest or what's in the next person's best interest. She has to do what's in Nancy's best interest. If it's best for Nancy to keep it stepping and find somebody else, amazing. If it's best for her to stay in this connection, then amazing. But she has to prioritize herself at the end of the day, because in the decision that Botlele made, in my opinion, he prioritized himself. He didn't stop to think about Nancy, because had he stopped to think about Nancy, he wouldn't have done it. So because he prioritized himself, she has to prioritize herself as well. You have Kuda go on his date with Star, and they're sort of having conversations about, do you think Lynn still thinks about Viso, or do you think they'll continue to communicate after this experience? And he says, well, we've known him for a long time, and so I wouldn't expect it to sort of cut ties with him. So I would expect it to still keep talking, but also I think he's trying to understand, where does his relationship with Lynn lie? So where does Kuda's relationship with Lynn lie? Are they going to continue as a partner, or are they now, parting ways and starting afresh with new people? And then you have him say, he's very messy, Kuda, because he's saying to Star, I hope I'll be able to keep you as a friend. And it's like, it's not the same. It's not the same. With Viso and Lynn's date, it was more friendship vibes, whereas you were talking about getting cuddled. So the idea that you think Lynn would be up to you staying friends with Star, you're delusional. You're very delulu, sorry. As I said, I love this show. I really love this show because it's messy central and toxicity and drama, everything you want in reality TV. Anyway, so you have the participants at Villa Moko write letters to themselves and their partners of the things that they want to change and the things that they don't like about their partner. And it was everything that's already been brought up. It was really everything that's been brought up. I think the only two things that stood out for me was Sia saying, they really need to work on their communication, which I believe they do. They need to work on their communication. Yes, Sia might need a woman with drive who will help him achieve his goals. Maybe he's not a very driven person, but he doesn't need to be disrespected. He doesn't need someone to talk down to him. So that I really stood out for me. The fact that you had Potlele say that, they use sex as a coping mechanism in their relationship. It's like, buddy, you're doing it once every 2 months. How is that a coping mechanism? Make it make sense? That doesn't make sense. For Clayton to say, I feel like, my partner doesn't make me feel desired and stuff. It's like, that's more you than your partner. The fact that you cheated on your partner makes me feel like you do not have enough self-worth to sort of understand who you are as a person and what you want in a relationship. This is why you're looking for validation from other people. Back at Villa Jojo, they're busy speaking about sex, and it's Jose who talks about a topic that's like, oh my god. And then to have Nancy said she's done it, everybody clutched their pearls, because this is not something they expected from her. But it was nice to see them just sit and have conversations. Yes, the conversations were a bit, wow, but still, at least there was enough dialogue sort of taking place, not just people flirting. And Kuda can't help himself, because we saw a clip of him asking for cuddles again from this girl, and it's like, please, why is she continuing to share a bed with him? Why can't she even sleep downstairs in the living room? If that's the case, if you're worried that this man keeps asking you, you're enjoying him, paying you attention, as far as I'm concerned, because I would tell the producers, I'm sorry, I can't continue to sleep in the same bed as this man. I don't feel safe, so either he leaves the bed or I leave the bed. We cannot continue to be in the same bed. You have Lynn venting to Manaka about the situation that, I don't understand this man, why he cannot, more or less set boundaries and be respectful because of the fact that he was asking for cuddles. And it's like, well, that was cuddles, initial cuddles. Now he's on cuddles 2.0. So I don't know how you're going to feel, because Manaka tried to justify it by saying, he was drunk, so maybe that's why he did that. No, it wasn't that he was drunk. It's just that's the person that he is. He's never satisfied. For him to go on international TV and continue to ask for cuddles from someone he barely knows is embarrassing, not only for him, but for his partner. And I don't get why he doesn't see that. You have Sia speaking to Clayton saying, he's at a space whereby he doesn't know what's going to happen with his relationship. He's worried, he's not as angry as he was before, and he never suspected that his partner would be vengeful, but now he's worried that this might actually take place, and so he doesn't know how he's going to navigate that. And it's like, well, I feel like you need to ask yourself, what do you want in a relationship? What is important in a partner for you? And make choices accordingly. Because this woman is going at her own pace and has her own goals and her own idea of the man that she wants. And you might not be it. And you don't necessarily, just because you want a strong-minded person, have to put up with abuse. And everyone has told him not to put up with abuse. Nancy is lamenting to Kuda, about the fact that she doesn't understand how Bohlahle could be so, naive or ignorant as to have sex with someone on TV. And it's like, oh, you're preaching to the choir. Kuda's aiming for a hug there, so you might want to tell him. Because she says she's worried that, did he have sex with a condom? It's affected her ancestors and his ancestors. And it's like, yeah, that would be a worry, because it's a good thing. I always say if you end up with a baby, but it's a bad thing if you catch a disease from someone you don't know. Not that I'm saying that Mia had a disease, but it's always important to practice safe sex, especially if it's someone you don't know. So it's another love never lies commitment ceremony. Well, it's not a commitment ceremony, it's just a ceremony. And so Millie is there, and the first person up is Sia. And it's like, well, get him out of the way, that way he can relax. I think they worry about him because he seems to be a very vulnerable young man who is very caring, compassionate, empathetic, and sadly is saddled with someone who is the complete opposite of it. So they show him a clip initially of, Pretty screaming and shouting and complaining. Oh, she used to date ballers and short callers, and now she's having to sort of humble herself so that she can be with Sia. Her friends questioned her when she said she wanted to date Sia because he's out of her league. She used to date tall guys, this guy, and it's like, seriously, this girl, everything she said was derogatory about her guy that she's brought to the show. Nothing she said there was worth sort of uplifting or sort of complimentary towards him. So I don't get how Sia doesn't see this. I question, where is his family? Why are they allowing him to go through this? Nobody deserves to go through this in the name of love. No amount of love will allow me to go through this much torture and heartache from someone just because I love them. No, I'd rather be single. I really would rather be single. Anyway, they get to hear two questions that Pretty was asked. The first one was, do you resent Sia for not being a provider? She says no, she doesn't resent him, and she says that's the truth. I feel like she uses it as a way of controlling him. I think she uses it as a way of controlling him. So if he earns more than her, then she doesn't have any control on him. Whereas if she is the provider, then she can do as she pleases. And you have Millie sort of ask Sia, what do you mean you're a man? What's an ideal man? He says a protector, a provider, someone who's caring. And he knows the qualities that are needed. But sadly, I don't know what's happened to Sia as a person that allows him to continue to go through this abuse. The next question is, do you perceive Sia as a weak man? You have Pretty say no, and the eye detector said, that's a lie, Your Honor, that's a lie. And it's like, oh my God, this is about to be messy. They then show a clip of Pretty having a back and forth with her partner, and it's like, he's not going to put up with it, because at the end of the day, Sean is not Sia. And for Sia to say you're an idiot, you don't know her, it's like, no, you don't need to know someone to have boundaries. Sean is setting boundaries. He's telling her, you will not disrespect me. You will talk to me, but you won't talk at me. Neither will you yell, scream, and shout at me. Even if you're angry, there's a way to communicate your feelings without you having to create a scene. And sadly, this is something that I feel like Sia could benefit from learning, because he needs to implement that in his relationship and set boundaries immediately so that he can be successful in this relationship. Do I think it's a long-term relationship? No. All I can hope is that he gets endorsement deals after this and is able to sort of create his own life for himself, because I don't think Pretty is it for him. Next up is Lynn, and it's like, why are they bringing Lynn up next? Is it because the rest of the crew is a mess, or are they looking for a cliffhanger that will sort of inspire people to want to come back and watch? So you have Kuda having conversations, obviously, with his partner star Kuda really seems smitten by Star. I'm going to say that. He is smitten. And he keeps making advances and suggestive comments that let you know that he's open to exploring a romantic connection, because he's saying his relationship is over. And so I don't know whether it's over or whether he's just saying that in order to sort of win Star over, if you get what I mean. Anyway, so Lynn is shown his questions. So the first one is, do you feel mothered by Lynn? And his response is yes. The eye detector says yes. Am I surprised? No. I'm not surprised. That would be a yes, because she seems to sort of want to sort of manage him and sort of control him. And I don't think she knows that she's doing it, but that's the way she comes across. Because had she been open to the experience and had she allowed him to be, then he would have shown her who he really is. But I think part of it, he's containing himself because she mothers him and he knows she won't approve of certain situations. I feel like Lynn needs to take a step back and just watch him and see what he does and then take it from there. Obviously, we were shown more flirting. Are we surprised? We all know that he asked for another cuddle in bed the second time. So I'm not surprised with anything this man does. And then his second question is, are you unreliable in your relationship in an attempt to maintain your freedom? His response is yes. And it comes out to be a truth. Are we surprised? No. I can't wait to see more of what Lynn says, because at the end of the day, no one deserves to put up with this. You can't waste 7 years of your life trying to change someone who does not want to be changed. So you either have to ask yourself, do I want to continue to be in a relationship with this man, or is it time for me to check out? And personally, I feel like Lynn needs to check out. If I were her friends, her family, I would tell her, you've done your best, you've served your time. It's time to move on to find somebody else, because otherwise he is never going to change. If he could go on international TV and embarrass you like that, he's never going to change. But anyway, I digress. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 4. Bye guys.